All right, welcome to Capstone. You guys are making a lot of progress. I want you just to think for a second about what you knew about your subject a month ago and what you know now. And you should be pretty happy. Even though there's a lot more to learn, that's actually one of the things that I love to see is that once you start looking into things, you realize there's so much more you need to learn. That actually relates to something I've been talking about in my first year foundations class, which is the Dunning-Kruger Effect, which basically says the less you know about something, the more confident you are because you're so ignorant you don't know what's out there. So you think, how hard is it to be a rocket scientist? You just become a scientist that likes rockets, right? And then you actually study that and you realize, holy shit, that is a lot to know. And so you might be getting to that stage where you're like, I can't believe I didn't even think about these things and now I'm reading studies. But that shows that you're actually making a lot of progress. And so congratulations. Welcome to Capstone. So this week it might sound a little premature to talk about findings because you don't have any right now, but it's always good to think a little bit about how you might want to display, talk about, explain your findings, right? A lot of you are doing critical studies, which I like, which is my field. Quantitative, straight quant stuff is interesting, definitely, but not necessarily my field. But I find that that's a good marker, and I have a video by, what's his name again? Hans Rosling. So Hans Rosling was an amazing scientist who was well known for presenting his research and the research he did in groups and collectives in a really effective way. So I want you to watch that video this week, and don't stress out too much because some of you might have actual numbers like, 52% of this and 12% of this and whatever the case. Others might have more qualitative analysis where you say basically many films work in this way. And so you don't actually have like 12% of films. Instead, you can say something like, I've looked at a number of films that have to varying extents this theme in them or that theme in them, right? So in that case, you might not want to be doing a graph, but some of you may. Some of you may have pie charts, bar graphs. You want to think about one of the key features I've talked to you about before is, are you going over time? So you're showing change, like things have gotten better or worse or whatever you're measuring, or are you showing a comparison, in which case maybe a pie chart or something is better because let's say you're doing the same year, but you're doing different things going on that year. So those are the two main ways to present and think about your findings, right? Are you looking at change over time, or are you looking at comparisons at approximately the same time? Maybe there's some variation where you're doing both. I don't want you to freak out. I say this every week, and yet every week I get messages that indicate you're freaking out, which is fine. It means you are passionate about this project, which is a good thing, like I've said. I hope that it doesn't stress you in a bad way, but if you're a little bit stressed, that means you're engaged, and that means it's working. You're getting smarter, you're getting more invested in this project, and that's a good thing. But anyway, I want you to think about how you might show your findings. And so maybe for some of you, it's a graph. Maybe for some of you, it's, a Wordle chart where, the size of the words are in proportion to how frequently they appear. I've done those before. Maybe it's, a line graph that shows change. Things have gone up, things have gone down. Sometimes it's important just to show that, right? And you can do that in a simple graph. You want to obviously make sure you cover the bases, like what's the title of the graph? What are we looking at here? But if you think about what you expect to show people, then you can better take in that information. So many of you are starting or will start soon your data collection. And that involves getting information so that you can then later display that to people. Again, maybe some of you won't even use a single graph, and that's totally fine. Maybe you want to use a clip, like a still from a film or a commercial or something like that. Anyway, the question I want you to think about this week is, how will you display your findings? And if that doesn't work for you, because maybe your findings are much more subjective than any kind of data analysis, then how do you want to display what you're talking about? So maybe it is valuable to do a few figures, like images, maybe it's not valuable and you can just describe in one word. This guy is a blue person, this guy is a red person, and the cartoon works in this way. You don't really need necessarily to show that. But if it's something maybe complex, like, look at this scene that I've analyzed, here's what's going on, maybe you want to still from that, and you can show that. So, again, keep working, keep trudging through, because eventually you'll get to the end, very soon actually, you'll be surprised. And you will have something really important to show people, but what will you show them? What will it look like? I want you to think about that, and that's your task for the week. Look forward to talking to you all soon. Take care.